Hello everybody, hope you're doing well. Hope you I swear, I'm going to leave that in. I was going to say, hope you've had a lovely weekend, a productive weekend, and all that stuff. And welcome to a kind of a dissection video, a topic video, something that I've had on my slate of videos to make, but it hasn't really kind of felt like it's the right time. It's been very busy, especially over this summer period, and every time I think that I've got time to kind of look into a topic, write a guide for something, it's like, oh yeah, we've got this to cover. Kabam are changing this. Kabam did wrong here. Kabam doing right there. Guide for this. That's just new event. You know, it's been very busy times. But I wanted to look at this particular topic. A lot of people requested this over the last kind of few months, and that is all about champion buffs, the buff program. Now, where we begin with this particular video is the fact that we've had this kind of rebalance system, and the rebalance system is to keep new champions in place, which is a good thing. We'll say what's a bad thing in a minute, but the good side of things is that this needs to be done regularly. It needs to be done quicker before the release of 6-star features. When there's new champions that have come into the game, we're like, okay, well, we've got to make sure that if players are getting these champions, ranking them up, that they're dealt with. But also, and yeah, that's the case. Yes, they do have to be dealt with then. Because then we've got problems like Moleman, Craven, Baron Zemo. Ones that have kind of been rebalanced. Mainly the ones that, you know, are out of that kind of time window of rebalance, that 6 months tender spot, that need to be, new champions need to be addressed. They need to be kept in place, or they need to be put out as they are meant to be intended to. Not that they go in this kind of like OP direction and then people have lost resource and it's very disappointing. But Kabam seem to have like stalled on that, dealing with bringing champions up and rebalancing and buffing. They seem like they don't have a sufficient amount of time. And I don't know if it's because recently we've seen relics, kind of like the cadence around their release has stopped. And whether or not the same team is going to be reviewing things like champions, because, you know, the last kind of buff champion that I personally kind of, I was about to say like effed with, and that sounds a bit wrong, by the way, but what I mean, like, you know, rated, thought was good, was Iceman. Iceman is a fantastic champion buff. Really loved him, really like him. I mean, look, rank 4 on this 6-star version. I'm enjoying the champion, especially from an offensive perspective. I use him a lot in every month in Thronebreaker. I've been using him in content. He does pop up from now and again. Yeah, just really solid kind of champion, really good buff. But there has been this kind of month since I want to say February time. March, April, May, June, July, maybe a few months that I haven't seen anything like Kabam are starting to work on something like a new buff. Like it always used to be at the bottom of what's next. There used to be something saying like, oh, you know, we found enough time to rework a certain champion or do something. And that was something that I was always kind of like looking forward to. And I think even more so looking forward to, because if you do this, you go to rank 1, and I'll just pick 6 stars on this one. Rank 1, 6 stars. And obviously there's some champions in there that I would like to rank up at some stage, but do bear in mind, with any player to player, there's going to be some champions you don't personally use for stuff. There's 250 plus champions, so people say, oh, rank up that champion, Rich. You should rank up that champion. No, you rank up whatever champion you want to rank up. And why don't you do it? Look, here's the thing. There's going to be lower champions down the pecking order that are going to get ranked up for whatever reason. And the ones in particular that I'm going to go off, yeah, just go down right to the very bottom and start your way up. And it just goes to show, doesn't it? Because a lot of people will have similar champions down there, like your Captain Marvels, like your Doctor Stranges, like your Iron Man OGs, your Dormammu's. I personally like Dormammu, but I'm not willing at this moment in time to invest 200 signatures, get him up to a rank 5 to go, oh yeah, by the way, he's all right. I think there needs to be a bit more kind of you know, squeeze, more kind of juice on the squeeze, and there's not much juice coming out of that champion when you squeeze it. Moon Knight, definitely. Not Venom. Not Venom. I got to rank up Venom, but that's another story for another day. Miss Marvel Kamala Khan. I've seen what people do, you know, with her in content, but, you know, your superior Iron Mans, kind of Airwalkers, yeah, Captain America in World War II. Don't ask about Joe Fixit. And again, another rank up. But I'm not going to. The thing is, I'm not going to keep explaining myself as to, like, you know, why I haven't ranked up a champion. There's champions that need to be ranked up. Same with anybody. But it's just a case of being careful with your resource. Any case, your Nightcrawlers, your Black Panthers, your Black Bolts, but Black Bolt relies heavily on synergy performance, your Cyclopses, your Spider-Man symbiotes, and that's really it, I think. Obviously, there's some others that kind of, as soon as you go up there may be some down there, but definitely some of the ones that I've kind of mentioned, and that's a high portion of champions. So again, it's kind of like it's an important element to this game to have buffed champions, because you need to use some of these champions that you've put in your roster. It has been something that's very much been a quiet thing. And I saw this particular thread and poll that was put out at the start of this month. And it did interest me. And this is why I wanted to make a video when I had like a little bit more kind of idea of what community was saying about stuff. And it was interesting because this isn't something that I put out. It's something, someone else put out. Between buffing old champions or focusing on new champions, what do you prefer? Buff old champions. And that's just the thing, isn't it? Metas shift. And when metas shift, a requirement is to have as much powerful champions as possible. And when you're pulling some new champions for the very first time, if you're pulling the likes of Moon Knight, Doctor Strange, OG Iron Man, Dormammu, Unawakened, Superior Iron Man, you're going to look at this and go, well, look, it's highly likely you'll pull some of the better ones, the buffed ones. But still, some of those other champions, which players have in their roster, could be really given a solid by being put up a little bit further on with a new meta kit, a better rotation, more utility. All those things are, very important. Some are so bad, it's scary, says Beastdad. There's enough good champions that I'm a fan of to play this game and enjoy. I don't mind new champions coming in, but I'd still love to see and pick some of my favourites in action. If we can fix that, then move on to a new champ, and that would be satisfying. Maybe against the majority of this one, but since every new champion is coming out as 7-star, I'd rather they be the focus. Not every old champion is going to be a 7-star, even if they did get buffed. But the thing is, this is all about Ascension, isn't it? This is all about Ascension. Imagine if Superior Iron Man gets an excessive buff and then gets Ascension. It's not going to release as a 7-star. But then what are the chances that maybe Kabam kind of thrust into a pool at a later date some of these kind of like older champions? But we'll have to see. It's just nice to see some of the older champions getting some love. I think that's it. I'm on the buff old champions mindset. New characters are exciting, but I think the game has reached a point where you have enough champions in the game with unique kits. No one would bat an eye if Kabam reduced bringing in new champs every other month, allowing them to buff 2 old champs per month. I mean, that would be a thing, wasn't it? We talked about the idea back along that if Kabam buffed old champions up to a certain point, they'd be done by a certain year. Like, I think it was like 2020. Actually, I think when we did the video, it's kind of like 2020, and they'd be done in 2023, which is weird because now we kind of go, it's 2023, and well, there's still champions that need buffing, and that's the problem, isn't it? I think Kabam are trying to kind of like catch up. I guess that's the balance at the moment. They don't seem to have the available extra time to deal with the likes of your Superior Iron Mans, your Venoms, but as well, they're looking at the problem is, this could be a never-ending job. And the reason it would be a never-ending job is that I don't think people had on their bingo card for 2023 that they'd have time to buff Iceman. The same way they kind of look at it and go, do we have enough time? I know I think they were going to buff Red Guardian or Rhino, but obviously the thing happened with, the thing between those countries, and as a result it was like, well, we can't in all good conscience do that. Look, there's also other champions, isn't there? The champion, Morningstar, they should get a look into, but that's the thing, isn't it? Then you kind of look at champions that may fall out of the line of meta, and Kabam would go, okay, well, let's have a look at some of the top rated champions and go, well, when we look at it, we found that a champion like Killmonger, for example, should be getting about 10% more attack rating. Things like that. A lot of the time Kabam would do. I mean, as I said, the weird thing about this was that I don't think anybody expected Iceman to get that buff that he did, but he did. The same way that Gamora got 2 buffs. Part of me feels like she's had 3 little kind of buffs to her kit. But again, it's just down to these kind of like things where that champion, like Iceman, wasn't in that 6-month window, but at the same time was kind of looked into. And there may be other such examples going like, okay, well, front end damage of Korg may not be as good as maybe Kabam would like, and as a result they may decide to go, boom, we're going to give him a bit more attack improvement or change his kit slightly. And that situation could be the same for a lot of champions. It could be Red Goblin, for example. It could be something like maybe not Guardian. But look, I think you know what I mean. Like, without kind of like going off on a tangent with stuff, I think, you know, like Kabam's methodology of how they deal with the buff program is they'll have, I want to say, like sprinting for about 2 months, and then it's a case of like they have to work on something else, so they go to a jog with it. So whether or not Kabam will do any more like buffing, it's gonna have to be seen. As Big Blue says, I'd like there to be happy middle ground. I thought 2022 was the place. I've been disappointed with the 2023 direction, where it's been, yeah, I'd say more the the newer champions getting a look in, and not the older champions. So yeah, I really would like to see it. Kabam haven't responded to this thread. It's been there for a while. Lots of kind of like mixed and different sentiments on it. And it just feels like from where Kabam's prioritizing now is more on the rebalance 6-monthly kind of elements to it, and which is important. It does have impact for the featured crystals, but at the same time, we do need to see some of these old champions being looked into. Just to go, it's one and done. You know, your superior Iron Mans, your Miss Marvel Kamala Khans, your Phoenixes, your just now looking at a list of champions, your Green Goblins, you know, loads of champions that could be given a look into. Your champions, your Morning Stars, your Sentries, believe it or not, Red Skulls. The list goes on. But what's your thoughts on the buff program? Put it in the comment section down below, and check out some other content. Have a lovely weekend, whatever you're doing, and I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.